So when you have a patient come see you, basically you assess through, you talk to them, you get an idea of what's going on, you do a physical assessment on them. How does that work?
So it's some of all those things.
Okay.
Someone will call or come in for a specific reason. For example, so let's say they've had a car accident. So they have back, neck, and shoulder pain. So I'm going to do sort of a physical assessment, just what the body looks like. We don't do palpation, but we'll look at the body. We will listen to the pulses. I will listen to the tenor of their voice, what they're telling me, what else has been happening in their life. And then they will lie down at my table on their back. I like to generally have them without a pillow first, if I can convince them. A lot of people are used to having a pillow. But you can get a better idea of the alignment of the structure. Also, if I get a chance, when someone comes, I like to watch them walk in. I like to see how the body is moving. Sometimes that will give me some ideas of the way the energy is moving. So they will lie on the table, then I listen to the wrists. They might continue to give me a little history. I don't always take a full history. When I was working in a more medical setting, I would have the medical record to look at, and I would look at it. I would actually go way back in the record to kind of get the history. But in this case, I don't always have that. So I listen to the wrists, and that tells me not what's wrong with someone, but what the body's doing to move it into balance. The physical body is the history of the body. The energy of the body is what's happening now. So from that, I will make an assessment of what I'm going to do. They just lie on their back, put a blanket on to keep them warm. And then I just apply light touch on the body, both hands, just like putting one hand on top of the other. That's the weighting of it. There's no rubbing, no manipulation, no pressure. And it's in specific locations on the body. We call them safety energy locks. So Western medicine will call them trigger points. They're areas that we tend to touch and rub, lots of joint areas. We also hold the fingers, the toes, the spine, depending on what we're working on. And as I work, it's kind of like watching ice melt. I just sit with my hands very quietly in a place, and I'm listening with my fingertips, the most sensitive part of your hand. And from that, I can feel a pulsation, not always aligned with the heartbeat pulse. It can be varied between two hands. It can also have a texture, pounding, soft. It can be staccato-like. We have all these descriptions that describe energy and the depths and how it's working. And I wait until that starts to harmonize and balance. Then I move on to the next placement. In these step-by-step practices, sequences we call flows. So we will move through a flow. It's not verbally interactive with the patient or client, unless a discomfort comes up.
They tell you.
They'll tell me, and I ask them to tell me. And if they get a pain or something goes numb or something, if they need to be readjusted, we'll do that. Oftentimes it's an old injury that's come up, and so it's just telling you that energy's blocked there. So we, can move our hands to kind of help facilitate the movement there, and then we keep going. I watch the body a lot too. I watch the breathing to see if they're getting a full expression of breath. I watch their fingers because fingers and toes and arms and things will move as pathways open, same with the feet. And that is telling me the expression of how energy is flowing along these pathways. So a treatment's about an hour. People oftentimes fall asleep. That's great. I wake them up when we're finished. But then when we're done, since this is a circulation, like your blood, like your lymph, like your lungs expression in and out of the body, it has a cycle. So there are different cycles, 8 hours, 12 hours, 24 hours. I always ask people before they decide, especially the first time, see how you feel tonight. See how you feel tomorrow as this works through its system. And I think people have a really deep knowing as to whether Jin Shin Jyutsu is something that they want to pursue and are interested in. I don't necessarily always prescribe. The only time I prescribe a certain number of sessions if people are receiving chemotherapy, radiation, or they've had surgery.
Because they're going to be getting it
They're
continuously.
gonna get it continuously, get things in balance, then they get more radiation.